Something is shifting at TCO Performance Center, and it is that quiet kind of change that real fans notice before anyone else. We are all eyeing that Super Bowl window, but building a winner happens in the margins, away from the bright lights. There is a new energy in the building after rookie minicamp, and if you are a Vikings faithful, you need to be paying attention right now. Before we dive into this move that has got the coaches talking, hit that like button and subscribe. We are building a community of the most locked-in fans. Let us talk Vikings. Now, it started with a simple tryout. Just one of 21 players fighting for a dream, but someone stood out so much they could not let him leave the building. The Vikings have officially signed defensive lineman Smith Vilbert, and while his name might not be on the front of every jersey yet, his frame tells a different story. We are talking about a guy standing nearly 6'6", weighing in at 290 pounds with 34-inch arms. That is the kind of massive physical profile that makes defensive coaches lose sleep. But here is the thing. This is not just about adding a body to the training camp roster. It is about the philosophy Brian Flores is building here. We saw it last year with guys coming out of nowhere to make an impact, and Vilbert brings a level of versatility that is rare. He played on the edge at Penn State, but he has the size to slide inside. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the Vikings' defensive line depth has been a massive question mark for all of us. We know we need disruptors. We know the pressure is on to find hidden gems. And honestly, when you look at a guy with this kind of reach and leverage, you start to wonder if the front office saw something the rest of the league missed. There is an emotional weight to these signings, because every time we add a player with this much raw potential, it feels like we are one step closer to fixing the one unit that has held us back in the past. It creates this immediate sense of concern and excitement at the same time. Can he transition? Can he stay healthy? But the excitement comes from the tape. When you see a guy that big moving with that kind of twitch, it changes the conversation around what this defensive front could look like by September. It is a gamble, sure, but it is the kind of gamble that defines the culture. We are looking for hunters, and from everything coming out of minicamp, it sounds like Vilbert came in with an appetite. This move matters because it signals that no spot is safe and the search for elite talent never stops for this organization. This is huge. To really understand why this move has such a deep emotional pull, you have to look at the road Smith Vilbert took to get to Minnesota. This was not a silver platter situation. He was a high-level recruit for Penn State, but his college career was a total roller coaster of frustration and resilience. He redshirted, showed flashes with 3 sacks in a single game back in 2021, and then basically vanished for 2 years. Injuries, undisclosed reasons, the kind of setbacks that would make most players walk away from the game entirely. And as a fan, that tells me something about his character. He did not quit. He stayed in the fight, transferred to North Carolina for his 6th year, and finally became the full-time starter we all thought he could be. He played over 500 snaps and showed he can handle the grind. Now let us discuss the risks here. We have seen high-upside players with injury histories before, and it can be a heartbreak for the fan base when they do not pan out. There is real pressure on him to prove those 2 lost years are behind him. But imagine the reward. If he is finally healthy and playing with that nothing-to-lose mentality he showed at UNC, he becomes a massive problem for opposing offensive lines. There is also a cool chemistry factor here, because the Vikings also grabbed his UNC teammate Marcus Allen. Having that familiar face in the room could be the spark that helps him settle in and dominate. This is where the roster impact gets heavy. We are not just talking about a camp body. We are talking about a guy who registered 21 pressures last season. That is production. When you look at the uncertainty on our interior line, every single one of those pressures feels like a lifeline. The fans are desperate for a homegrown star on that front 4. And Vilbert's story of overcoming adversity makes it so easy to root for him. But there is a tension there, right? We have been burned by potential before. We need results. We need someone who can collapse the pocket and help this defense take the next step toward a deep playoff run. We need the real deal. But this is where things change, and this is what I really want you to focus on. There is a specific clip of Smith Vilbert from his time at Penn State, where he uses this jump swipe move that scouts have literally described as filthy. At 6'6" and nearly 300 pounds, seeing a human being that size move that fluidly is terrifying, and that is the biggest question. Can he do that consistently at the NFL level? Because if he can, this is not just a practice squad signing. This is a rotation-altering move. Look at the depth chart right now. You have got Jalen Redmond, Caleb Banks, and guys like Elijah Williams who made the roster last year as a tryout player themselves. The path is there. The Vikings have shown they do not care about where you were drafted. They care about how you perform under the lights. But the pressure is mounting. This defensive line room is becoming a pressure cooker of competition. You have got former 5th-rounders like Eric Johnson and UDFA success stories like Taki Taimani. Every rep Vilbert takes is a rep he is taking away from someone else's dream. This could become something much bigger. Because if Vilbert flashes in preseason the way he did in minicamp, the coaching staff is going to have some impossible decisions to make. What happens if he outperforms a veteran? What happens if his length becomes the secret weapon Brian Flores needs to disguise his blitzes? The implications for the roster are massive. We are talking about potentially cutting players with more tenure to make room for a guy who just walked in off the street. That creates a specific kind of tension in the locker room, a healthy one, but a tense one nonetheless. We are watching the evolution of a position group that has been under the microscope for years. Every time we think the roster is set, a move like this happens and reminds us that the future of the franchise is being built by guys fighting for their lives in May. It is about the hunger. It is about that one move that changes the trajectory of a season for us. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This move actually excites me more than some of our late-round draft picks. I really like this move because of the physical tools. You cannot coach 6'6" with 34-inch arms. You just cannot. But I also have to be the one to say it. This worries me a little bit too. We have seen this story before where a guy looks like a physical specimen, but the injury history or the lack of consistency catches up to him. I think fans should pay attention to how he is used in the first few weeks of training camp. If they have him moving all over the line, it means they see him as a chess piece. If he is stuck in one spot, it might mean he is struggling to grasp the system. I really want to see him succeed because the Vikings need that diamond in the rough story. We need someone to emerge from the shadows and provide that spark. I think we should be cautiously optimistic. This could be incredible if he stays healthy, or this could become a problem if we rely on him too much and he cannot stay on the field. It is that classic Vikings wait and see feeling, but there is a different vibe this time. Kevin O'Connell and the staff seem genuinely impressed with how he handled the 3-day tryout. To earn a contract in that short of a window means you did not just show up, you dominated. I love the idea of him and Marcus Allen pushing each other. It is that internal competition that breeds greatness. We have seen the front office get aggressive with these types of signings lately, and it feels like they are finally prioritizing raw, unteachable traits. Whether he makes the 53-man roster or ends up being a key piece on the practice squad, his presence raises the floor of the entire unit. And for a team trying to reclaim the North, raising the floor is exactly where you start. I am leaning toward him being a surprise standout, but the road is long. This is our chance to build something very special up front. The story of Smith Vilbert in Minnesota is only just beginning, and that is what makes this time of year so nerve-wracking and beautiful for us fans. One day you are a tryout player, the next you are signed to a contract, and the day after that, you are the guy everyone is watching to see if you can save the defensive line. The tension is real, and the stakes could not be higher for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. We have seen players come from nowhere to become legends in this purple and gold, and while it is too early to call Vilbert a star, the ingredients are all there. The length, the power, and that filthy swipe move are all waiting to be unleashed. But the question remains, can he beat out the veterans and earn his spot when the pads come on? Or will he be another what-if story in a long line of talented players who could not catch a break? The future is uncertain, and that is exactly why we love this team. Something bigger is still coming this offseason, and I can feel the momentum building. I want to hear from you down in the comments. Do you think Smith Vilbert is the hidden gem we have been waiting for? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss an update on this roster battle. We are the Vikings faithful, and it starts now.